One place that you should go to get started learning to code as of June 1st, 2023. Codecademy and Coursera look like the top two. So my number one recommendation now is this program. So we're going to do the research live. This is a live, and we're going to discover, you and I together, I genuinely don't know what the answer is now. And within the hour, we will have a data-driven, evidence-based single point of starting. And so there is an ambiguity problem where it's like, well, if A is good and B is good, where should I start? And in fact, it's worse than that because it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In the MOOC space, there's like 10 providers that could be best. It becomes a problem because we get into students with analysis paralysis. Is they say, well, if there's all these good options, like I don't know what's best, and they're like trying to compare, and they never actually get started. And that's what we want to avoid. So historically, what I've done is I've said, well, you know, all these are pretty good, but I recommend Free Code Camp if your budget is literally zero, and Codecademy Pro, the front-end path in particular, if you can afford it. Although there's clear evidence that this entire tier, the MOOC, Massive Open Online Course, the entire tier is the bottom of the totem pole. 2016, and here's almost 1,000 citations. So let's look at this guy. Yeah, this is basically kind of this is like one of the results that I wanted to point at. Retention rates are less than 10%. So even if a course is good, it's not going to do you good as a student if your odds of completion are less than 10%, right? We want you to be like having an excess of 90% chance of landing a job, not an excess of 90% chance of dropping out. Possibly the founder. And she wrote this blog article and I responded to it. The blog article says you shouldn't put certifications on LinkedIn. I gave, I think, a withering critique. And I tried to be, I think I was polite, and she responded positively. She thanked me for my response. But basically, this is not true. You should put your certifications on LinkedIn. Still, this paper is interesting and a super valuable contribution to the overall literature because of this image in particular. One of the things this chart can be taken to indicate is that any of these certifications that are equal to or better than LinkedIn are good candidates, to start to learn to code. And so you might say, hey, TripleByte is where we should all start. Well, there's several problems. One of the problems is that my two that I've referred to for many reasons for a long time, Free Code Camp and Codecademy, those are not addressed at all in this analysis. So one of the things I want to do today is find a way to synthesize results and get them in this image, so to speak. Let me just take a minute and explain why these are historically recommended by me. The answer is employer recognition. 368,000 stars. Now, pick your poison. You want to go 18 million, you want to go 25 million, anything in that range. And then you get a sense for the fraction of them that know who Free Code Camp is. And I would say that's probably an underestimate because there are a bunch of people who know about Free Code Camp that never came and gave this a star. But it correlates anyway. And you can compare this to other things like Odin Project. That's the other one. And so there's a whole risk management game going on here where it's like, well, if you're risk seeking, Udemy might be a better option. If you're risk averse, Amazon might be a better option. So part of this is tailoring it to your own risk profile. And I tend to give risk averse guidance, although if I meet with you one-on-one and I find out that you are a risk seeking individual, I might tweak it. But the typical person is risk averse. And also by choosing risk averse general advice, whenever I make data claims, whenever I make factual claims about income, placement rate, and so on, I'm being conservative. And since I have a large audience, being conservative and being risk averse minimizes the number of instances where people get mad because like they have a lived experience that is in the minority. So by being risk averse, I sort of minimize that situation. We have too many places to start, and we need to tell our juniors one place to start. And so based on this graph, you might just want to say TripleByte, but there's at least three problems. First, This graph doesn't even mention my historic preference, which is Free Code Camp and Codecademy. Okay, so we need to integrate that. We'll do that quickly. Second, we need to check for special cases. So Oracle is a special case, and that's what we don't know. We don't know because TripleByte seems to be a special case. And also, this analysis doesn't even consider my historic favorites, Codecademy and Free Code Camp. Yeah, we can collapse the 3 points into those two. Can you clarify the topic, please? The topic is, if somebody asks you, where should I go to learn to code? What do you tell them? What we don't want to tell them is this. Have you ever heard someone say, hey, what's the best programming language? And they say, well, you know, it kind of depends. It could be Rust, it could be C++, it could be JavaScript, it could be Swift. That's terrible advice. What we want to do is have an intelligent default. If someone says, what is the best programming language? I want to say, you should learn React, not Python. And yes, I said React, which is a library. I didn't say JavaScript. And here are the reasons why, and you give them A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you have an intelligent default. And then if they say, well, I'm in this funky situation, you can always update. But you as the, or me as the expert, I need to have an intelligent default, basically. Leslie says it's obviously HTML. I love that. I have a shirt that says HTML is the best programming language. Justin says only CSS is the best. I love it. Fight to the death in the comments, please. HK, where would be the best place to apply online? I'm mainly using LinkedIn. Is there something better? No, I don't think there's anything that's better. LinkedIn is great. However, I wouldn't restrict myself to LinkedIn. So there's a bunch of additional supplementary locations like Indeed Jobs. This also depends whether you're in the United States or not. What do I need on my resume for an entry-level SDE role? I have a software engineering job right now. Oh, if you have a software engineering job right now, you can go directly into SDE, right? That should be good enough. Feel free to book a call with me through my bio if your resume is not converting for some reason. But if you have software engineering experience, you should be able to go directly into SDE. So for purposes of employer recognition, this is a more widely known curriculum. That doesn't mean that the curriculum content is better. It means that it's a better signal to employers. So this is a really important distinction. The distinction between having skills and showing skills. So if you take Free Code Camp and if you take it and put it on your resume and then you go, man, there's a lot of recruiters reaching out to me now, except that I don't feel like I actually know how to code. That's when you go and do, maybe you do Odin Project as well. So there is a role for 2 certs or 2 courses. But what you don't want to do is get into cert hell or tutorial hell, where you're just taking courses and courses and courses and you're not actually landing a job. App Academy is decent, but it's not a MOOC. It is a coding boot camp. So it is in a different class of education. And frankly, it's in a higher class of education. Coding boot camps, on average, outclass MOOCs on average. But please don't go to an average coding boot camp. Please go to a high prestige coding boot camp. Go to Google Scholar. You can look for my name, Google Scholar. Here's John Vandeveer. Hireability and educational prestige. Read this paper. In this paper, I show the rule for a high prestige coding boot camp. And you want 400 or more reviews. So the most reviewed, they all meet this. And then you scroll through and look for a rating of 4.25 or higher. Luagan is the best in the world. Last I checked, they were not available in the United States. Maybe that has changed. The one that I recommend these days, these are 2 of them that I recommend these days for American students, would be Springboard and Career Foundry. Let me make sure they still have the guarantee. So they guarantee the job. So in addition to being a high quality curriculum, these 2 providers have a job guarantee. And so you really want to strongly prefer these when you're thinking about the return on investment to your education. Also, that's cybersecurity, data analytics. So they have some different options. I, of course, would suggest that you go the programming route. So software engineering career track at a cost of $9,900. This is not at all unreasonable. I think, frankly, it's below the average among coding boot camps in terms of price. This is not an expensive coding boot camp. If someone tries to tell you that $9,900 is expensive, They are doing the math wrong. I have a PhD in economics where I studied the return on investment to higher education. If someone tells you $9,900 is too much, they're doing the math wrong. By the way, you can get deferred tuition on things like this. So I need to actually get the raw data. I need to go back and check what data I even have. Okay, so we might need to do this in a different stream. I might have to go prepare some data for this. Okay, so let's see if we can get at this problem a different way. I was hoping to do one of those. Let's crack open ChatGPT. Carrot's a technical interview platform as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Carrot's great. I used Carrot and I had a great experience with them. Carrot snaps up triple byte. What is this? Oh my word. Is this new? Is this real? Bootcamp guarantees don't mean anything. There's a lot of stories of people not getting jobs. No, that's like, I'd like to see it. There are a lot of stories of people going to a boot camp and not getting jobs. There's not a lot of stories of people with a job guarantee that didn't get jobs. And literally, you can like press legal charges. So here's what you don't do is look at statistics and go, there's some stories. So disregard all the statistics. Just Google it, dude. Yeah. Big L, big L. This is really wild to me. This is potentially great news. Lol, okay, bro, you're here using ChatGPT and I'm the L. Yeah, I mean, using ChatGPT is not an L. I don't know. Are you mad at ChatGPT for some reason? They didn't take the website down, did they? Did they actually take, why is the website not coming up? Yeah. Whoa. I looked at this chart, dude. Triple byte's #1. Should I get a triple byte cert? Here's my answer. Try. The website is down. What? Triple byte is a bit different. Instead of coding courses, it focuses on technical hiring. They provide a coding quiz. However, it doesn't provide the educational content the other platforms do. Yeah. So I think what we've demonstrated so far today is that, yes, we have confirmed triple byte is an outlier. It's an exception to the rule. Basically, if someone says, hey, I want to learn to code, you don't send them to triple byte. Triple byte is at the sort of middle part of the job search stage, before you interview, but after you've already learned to code. And so the next contenders would be this triumvirate, this trinity of Udemy, Amazon, Coursera. Amazon, I think we can rule out because, first of all, their certs lean towards infrastructure. There is a coding component, but it's not primary. And they're also, again, they're certification oriented, not teaching oriented. You can get, like, they have some educational material, but that's like not what they're good at. I'm open to the idea that one day in the future, Amazon makes some courses and then maybe they'll be good. But as it stands, like, I'm not persuaded that this is a good route. App Academy Open, the free version. Maybe. I mean, App Academy is decent, so I guess their free version is probably also decent, but I want to see data. I want to see actual data. So currently the data is showing us Coursera is good, Udemy is good, and then Free Code Camp and Codecademy are also good for totally different reasons. So we have these 4 options, and it's not clear like which is best. I guess we can pretty much say Coursera is better than Udemy. I think we can pretty much say that. Thoughts on New Camp? I don't know. New Camp is super interesting. It's a different educational model, right? Pookie, I would actually appreciate you telling me. What do you think about it? I've heard really good things. I actually don't think I've heard anyone say a bad thing about New Camp. But I also have not seen any actual employer data. So I don't know how well it converts to employment. Pokemon 1740 says, what is this live about? We're discussing if someone asks you to code, what is the single place that you tell them to go? And currently it looks like I have 3 options. I have Coursera, Codecademy, and Coursera, Codecademy, and Free Code Camp for all different reasons. Over 70% reveal a preference for at least one actual alternative credential to at least one university credential. Yeah, and so Google was investigated as big tech, so it's a Fortune 50 learning provider. And so in general, this would apply to also Amazon and Facebook, and basically Fortune 50 companies. They get this sort of exception to the typical coding bootcamp rule. So the question is, Coursera and Udemy, do they have a class in cooperation with Google? Udemy has a vast library of courses, including many on programming and software engineering. Quality varies greatly because anyone can teach on Udemy. Udacity does nano degrees. Yeah, so I think I would lean towards that as a recommendation. But then it begs the further question, is a nano degree comparable to these things with Google and Facebook? Okay. Coursera has GCP courses. Yeah, I would not start with GCP. So when it comes to cloud platform providers, I think you need to learn to code before you learn to build infrastructure. Web development is basically a great entry point into programming. I would not keep my whole career there, though. I would start there and I would get out. Kind of like Saeed is saying, probably go to big tech as my second step after that. Abri said, yeah, I'm worried if I can even land a job with all the competition. You can get a programming role. I don't know if you can get a big tech role. That's pretty difficult, but you can definitely land a programming role. Coursera and Udemy are the best looking out of these. And then we wanted to check, do these have partnerships with big tech? And we think the answer is yes, but let's take a look at the specific courses. This is like God tier prompt engineering. Check this out. Role, you are a prospective software engineering student role with minimal risk and cost. All right, so notice that we're using several prompt engineering techniques here. We're using role act. I haven't used the act keyword yet because I want it to plan before it acts. And then we're also using the browser, which will allow it to pick up up-to-date information. Did you pay for GPT-4? Yes, GPT-3 is I would not recommend it at all. GPT-4 or go home. Let me say continue. Okay, so while we were goofing around, GPT-4 did some stuff. The average duration of a path is 7 to 8 weeks and 6 to 8 hours for a single course. Ooh, look at, yes! They gave me a job placement rate. GPT-4 is another level, dude. GPT-4 is another level compared to GPT-3. The boy hit me with a job placement rate. I'm in love. But this is very hard to verify. This is the same problem that I ran into. This is the same problem that I ran into when I tried to confirm numbers on Codecademy. It was like, it's good, but you kind of have to trust Codecademy. So Coursera does have partnerships with Tier 1. Here's the learner outcomes report. Let's check that out. Sign in as me? Sure. Okay. This is the number I'm looking for. Well, it's one of the numbers I'm looking for. Anna, welcome Anna, thank you for being here. Anna says, after working as a software engineer at a consulting company for 15 months, we have now been released. Ooh, yikes. On this situation, what would be your advice or recommendation for my next steps? It's going to depend on your person. Here's what I'll say. Let me give you the two ends of the spectrum. My general advice is book a call with me through my bio laterally, and let's do a one-on-one consult. But I'll give you the two ends of the spectrum. One is what you can call the Saeed strategy, where you just go straight to Google. Like, hey, I have over a year of experience now. If you can pass the technical interview, then you can be a junior at Google. That'll be great. On the other end of the spectrum is kind of I need a job tomorrow, and it can be the lowest quality job. I don't care. I just need a job now. Talk to a company called Tech Systems. Basically use a third-party agency recruiter. Tech Systems, TEK, all one word, Tech Systems. There's some others. There's Apex Systems and others. I've had some experience with a few of these places, and Tech Systems was the best. This is a company you're not going to want to build your whole career with them in most cases, but if you need a job tomorrow, they can often do wonders. What career outcomes did you achieve by enrolling in the most recent Coursera course or program that you completed? I think this is the most appropriate numbers. Is they increased, they got a new job 17%, increased salary or pay 18%, increased job interview offers 19%. So these are basically the outcomes that I would be interested in for my purposes. It's better than doing nothing, but it's going to take 2 years and you're going to get results that are like, you could be much further along in 2 years. So think about 1 year of salary is 70 grand. So it doesn't, okay, let me call this out, Jeff, because this is actually a big mistake a lot of people make when they think about return on investment and they are not trained in economics, is they ignore opportunity cost. If I can earn 70 grand for working for a year, then a 2-year degree doesn't cost 6 grand if I could have a substitute in 1-year degree. It costs 76 grand. Does that make sense? So that's what a lot of people are ignoring. The main cost of college is opportunity cost. Kate says, I moved to YouTube from TikTok and got my husband watching. He's been studying full stack development for over 3 years, knows React, JavaScript, Node, and others. Any job recommendations? Yeah, he should be able to get a job with that. Is he currently employed or not? So I don't know. There's a few possible issues. You might have a resume issue if you're not getting interviews. There might be an interview performance problem. Some people know how to code, but they get like anxious during an interview or something. So we can polish all these things up. The solution there would be practice interviews or resume optimization, maybe LinkedIn optimization. Social networking is another big problem. So some people who are somewhat introverted, they may be an excellent programmer, their resume might look good, and then they literally just like don't apply and they don't network. So that would be another problem. Not in the field. Okay, thank you. I think I'll stick with those 4. Even if he's not in the field, he should be able to land a job if the resume looks good. Oh, and the portfolio, right? If he's not currently in the field, then he'll need a GitHub portfolio. Feel free to book a call with me. I can also assess him. There is a problem that happens sometimes where someone thinks they know JavaScript and they really don't. Or like they know how to like do one thing, but they're not actually a good programmer. So I can sanity check that, and then I can help brush up all the other things. Yeeter Teeter, how to learn programming, just program. That's actually super based and red-pilled and factual. So I'm not going to argue at all. The problem is that approximately 5% of humans are able to have the self-discipline to do it on their own. So self-learning is definitely possible, and you can do that and land a job in tech without ever having a college degree. You can just go grind. But over 95% of people who start that will abort their own plans because of lack of self-discipline, social reinforcement, guidance, and so on. In a way, it counts as a boot camp. In a way, it counts as a boot camp. And here it does not mark guarantees job. So Coursera is not on here. Here's the support article. Does Udacity guarantee that I will find a job? No. Let me see if ChatGPT, I think Udacity does not guarantee a job anymore. As of my knowledge, I don't know why it does this. As of my knowledge in 2021, you just browsed the internet. So why are you talking about your cutoff? Codecademy job placement rate is reported to be between 60 and 80%. That is so hard for me to believe, but I don't know. They don't provide a job placement rate, but have reported that over 40,000 graduates have landed jobs after completing at least one certification. How many students have they had? Udemy isn't really a school though, right? That's true. So, but it doesn't matter for our purposes. Our question is, you do a thing, you get a job, yes or no? And whether you meet the legal criteria of a school, it doesn't matter for our purposes. But legally speaking, they are not a school, you're right. Okay, so Free Code Camp, now they have this 220,000 alumni. I don't know, programmer, 28K. Or could it just be filtering? Like, I don't know what I'm filtering. Or could it just be filtering in their like skills? Like, show me one of these people. Email developer, front-end developer. Okay. Okay, so developer is actually in the title. That's cool. Software engineer, software developer, HTML developer. Excuse me. It seems that all of these people identify as engineers and developers. This is a very strong correlation. So I like this. 58K out of the 220. Which is literally just like bang on even with Coursera, 1 and 4. So I don't see a statistical difference there. Okay, so this is fine. Can I just go to another company like Udacity? No? What is this statista stuff? Brand awareness. Accept only necessary cookies. Oh, okay. Yeah. Brand awareness survey would work. So this says 45 million users. This is 85 million users. So they're like comparable. What about Udacity? Okay, so on these numbers, registered users is consistent with brand awareness, and that's smaller. The main thing we care about estimating is employer brand recognition, and I think that would correlate very closely with aided brand recognition as opposed to revenue. So it seems to me that we have come to a conclusion. Thank you for bearing with me for 3 hours. Codecademy and Coursera look like the top two. Front-end developer, yeah. See, this is a cool one, man. 7 months at 6 hours per week. Why is this ideal? This is a 7-month program. And we know that employers who think that your program's really fast, they devalue your program. And that 6 to 8 month range is a real sweet spot. This is kind of where it's at, dude. Oh, and they have a backend developer too. 8 months at 6 hours or 7 months at 6 hours. Is there any full stack only from IBM? I see you, IBM. No thanks. It's also 50. They're literally competing head to head, aren't they? So they're both 59 a month. All right, I think that's it. So my number one recommendation now is this program.